So Keith went on to pursue a career in social media and sales, and I'm really glad to say that he's coming on board here to help us with our own social media strategies and to help with some of our sale initiatives to help expand the awareness of acupuncture and Oriental medicine to the general public. So I'm really excited, one, to be working with an old friend of mine, and two, to be sharing this really great information with you guys. I just want to introduce Keith Gallant. He is now on the other line, broadcasting remotely from Florida. And like I said, Keith has been in the social media world and sales for the last 25 years or so. And we're old friends. We grew up together, and hopefully he won't spill any beans about some of the things that we used to do when we were little kids. Um,
Yeah,
but
those were some crazy times.
those were some
Thank you,
fun
Jasper.
times. You're welcome. So Keith went on, he owns a company called Esful, which is a social media platform, and he's been helping other larger companies and smaller companies and independent contractors build a social media brand. And I'm
Mhm.
really excited to bring him here today to go over the 5 can't miss social media tactics to grow your acupuncture practice stress free. I'm
Okay.
going to go ahead and let Keith, I'm going to change the presenter here. Let Keith take control. And Keith, feel free to introduce yourself, share your screen with people, and
Terrific.
take it away.
Let's get on with it. We're really talking about 5 categories of tactics here. There's really more than 5 tactics, but certainly these categories are to help you, number one, get closer to people in your community and allow them to get closer to you. And we call that the breaking down of walls. Um, Number two is about a mindset of being a journalist, that you are a reporter, you're publishing to the internet, and therefore you join the other traditional media. Um, Patient testimonials, we realize, are a huge part of growing your practice, and we're going to empower you to get more patient testimonials and to amplify those testimonials that you get. Number four, we talk about the 4 vital meridians, the pathways, the channels that we feel you absolutely want to make sure that you're giving an effort toward. They will certainly bring you back results. And fifth of all, we talk about the importance of being present as you engage. Um, and so before we get into those 5 categories of tactics, we certainly need to take a deep breath, especially those of us who had technical difficulties getting here today. Um, but the truth is that it's really important that you approach social media in a way that does not cause stress. And it's really about mindset. And what we ask is that you approach social media and look at it as pure opportunity, which is how we see it. Um, you don't have enough resources. No one does have enough resources to be operating in the world of digital marketing day and night. And therefore, we have to just be grateful for the opportunities that do present themselves and take advantage of them as our scheduling and budgeting allows. It truly is what you make of it. And we want you to understand that your voice in the world of social media is sincerely needed. That your contributions do, in fact, nourish the community. As a health practitioner, the same types of things that you accomplish in your clinic can be accomplished online. And in fact, those patients who enjoy the experience in your clinic, you can enhance those experiences. You can connect with them more frequently in other places. You can help to educate the local community, and you are indeed helping the acupuncture profession when you put high quality content out into the universe. And we're grateful to the internet and really more to social media in allowing us to do this much more efficiently. So we all just need to take a deep breath and realize that as long as we understand these things and we believe them to be true, that there's a great number of opportunities awaiting us. So the first type of tactic that we're talking about is about breaking down the walls that exist between you and your clinic and and others. Uh, Transparency is first and foremost something that we try to embrace in social media, and you have to embrace it to the degree you're comfortable with. Um, it doesn't mean that you're always going to be sharing authentically exactly what's going on in your mind, and if anything, you do need, of course, to edit your thoughts to make sure that you're presenting yourself in the way that you'd like to. But transparency in terms of letting people see behind the scenes, giving people a sneak peek into what's happening in your practice, a new technique that you're excited about, a benefit that a patient received, and without obviously giving away their name and respecting HIPAA, um, speaking to the fact that you had a great experience. This is something that social media allows you to share with the world, whereas before it only existed within the clinical setting. Um, so we ask you to think about these things and to try to engage as authentically as possible. And the reason being that when you share authentically with anybody, it's just the human world we live in, when you share about your own personal, perhaps, health conditions that whether it's TCM or acupuncture or any type of therapy has helped you to overcome, it makes people more, it makes them feel better about sharing back to you the type of things that they're dealing with. So you break down these walls. We also believe that authenticity demonstrates a certain degree of confidence. It really takes a leap of faith to put yourself out there, to be a little vulnerable, and people see that, and they know you have clinical expertise, but when they see other human sides of you, they will be closer to you, and you will be closer to them. And your teachings will resonate further with them because they'll see you not just as a practitioner, but as a fellow human being. Um, they will share with you. There will be more interactivity when you are transparent. They will be more transparent with you. People react more. You obviously want that type of true engagement happening via the digital world in your social media space. And at the end of the day, and this is a saying that we talk about a lot in social media, that people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And the more honest and transparent and authentic and perhaps vulnerable you are with people, the more they will know you, the more they will indeed like you, and the greater trust they will have.
And Keith, I just want to say one thing. You touched upon the idea of teaching, and as acupuncturists, we're not just acupuncturists. We are sort of teachers in the sense that we teach people how to live healthier and more empowered lives. And there are so many different things that an acupuncturist can post on their social media networks that embrace these different aspects of teaching, whether it's, the special acupuncture point of the day, or a special health tip, or the description of what this acupuncture point means, or even a photograph of a particular herb that's growing in the garden and letting people know that it's a TCM herb and what the qualities are of it. So so many
Right.
ways to sort of be transparent in the
Right.
sense of being able to share and teach in the same way.
Right. Well, I can say from my personal experience, and I'm telling this to the whole community, that being friendly with Jeffrey for so many years, whenever I spend time with him, and these days it's a little more difficult, him being in Seattle and me being in Florida, in Boca Raton, and but when I spend time with Jeffrey, I come back home and I have some enlightenment that comes from seeing the way he actually walks the walk, the sense of well-being and the way he lives his life and the nutritional aspects. And that's what we're talking about, is that these same things that you share with your friends, you can share with your community, you can share with your patients. Um, so let's get on with it from here. Um, it, this is another thing about mindset. This is a tactic that is really, you'll see, if you can learn to embrace the fact that in this current modern world of ours, where we all have access to the media, we all are the media. You are a reporter. You need to first and foremost think of yourself as a photojournalist, because visual cues are so important in the digital space. And um, as a social media expert, I very rarely post anything on behalf of a client or myself that doesn't have an image or video related to it, typically an image. Um, it's a very noisy world out there online. Um, so you have to think about it that if it's a congested highway of traffic, that what you post is a billboard, and if you can get someone's attention with an image first and then tell the rest of the story later, it's very helpful. You are indeed publishing the story of your practice, and it's another again, this is a mindset. Um, what you might think is mundane and everyday is not to the rest of the world. It's actually rather exciting because you're in such an exciting space. And if someone was doing a story about you, they wish they would be in your shoes, because you have unlimited access to the expert, which is yourself, of course. So take advantage of that, relish that, um, that that you are the source, and people will be happy to see what you've got to say. Um, Again, think of yourself as a journalist. Look for the stories, create the stories that tell the story of your practice. So congratulations. Um, you, me, and the rest of us, we're all members of the media. Um, Getting on to patient testimonials. If you look at the note in the top right, it's very, very true, and I'm sure you know it. I'm sure you have great patient experiences on a daily basis. Your patients care about you. They want you to succeed. They know that TCM works. They're telling their friends and their family that TCM works. You need to be able to educate them about how they can help you, how you can help them help you. So it's important to educate patients about testimonials, to thank them obviously when they give you a compliment in the clinic, but to follow up with an email that provides them with hyperlinks that go to your Facebook page, to your LinkedIn profile, to the places where they can, as themselves authentically, not you relaying a story about a testimonial, but where they get to give testimonial firsthand. That's what social media is. And obviously, you all know that it's a fishbowl. And when they give a testimonial, any number of their friends, fans, connections are seeing it. Not to mention your community members are seeing it too, and it obviously builds your stature, but it helps spread the word. It's not always easy to ask, or sometimes you feel, you don't want to put people out, and asking sometimes might feel to you like that's going beyond what's comfortable. Think about it in these terms, that really they want to spread the word that acupuncture works, and you're giving them the platform by asking. That should make asking easy for you. And Jeff, when do you think the best time to ask is?
Well, I think, well, a couple things. One, I found that the best time to ask patients for testimonials is just when they're coming off the table and feeling really good. Usually what I would say is, people come off the table, and you guys have probably had this experience. They look really relaxed, they look really shifted, they're coming off the table, and you walk in and you're like, "Oh, how are you doing?" And they're like, "Wow, I feel really good." And that is the best time to ask a patient for testimonial. What I would say is, great. I'd say if Keith came off the table and he's like, "I feel really good," I'd say, "That's great, Keith. Now let me ask you this. Would you be interested in sharing a testimonial with other people who come to this clinic in regards to how your experience here has been?" And you're catching Keith at sort of a really great time when he's feeling really good, and most likely he'd have absolutely no problem sharing a testimonial right there.
Right.
And
But if I may stop you, Jeff, but it's really important that you follow up. So that's the thing. I think a lot of times we leave it at that, and
I
we hope that the person will remember to go home. They said they were going to, and they meant to, but perhaps life is busy, and being proactive and sending an email with a hyperlink that takes them directly where you want them to be will work.
Correct. I agree, and there's a couple things around that. One, um, you can actually have like if you have an extra laptop or a computer right there in your office, you could have people log into Facebook. We've done this in the clinic that I worked at in downtown Seattle at one point, where we had people, we had an extra laptop. It was loaded up with Facebook, and
Hmm.
people can go in there, log in, and like us immediately, and put a testimonial up on our site if they so choose to do it right then and there.
Right.
And the other option too is if people don't want to go to Facebook and like you. you could actually get a written testimonial and have that, ask them if it's okay for you to use that in various ways. And
Right.
one of the things that I'd like to give you guys afterwards, and Keith, please remind me to send this to everybody who's on the call, is a patient testimonial form. We have one that we've been using in the practice, that we've been
Mm-hmm.
using in some of our marketing training programs, and basically it's a patient testimonial form that you
Mm-hmm.
guys can use, both for written testimonials and also for testimonials that you could potentially use in the social media stratosphere. So that's something,
Right.
I want to send to you guys after this webinar. But yes,
Right.
there's definitely
Well,
certain times to ask, better times to ask for testimonials than others.
right.
And
Right.
and wait,
Well,
let me. I just want to say
yeah.
one thing.
Yeah.
And if you guys, like when we get to the Q&A section, or even if you have any, you can put comments in the question field. If you guys have any insight as to any of this as we're talking about it that we can share with other practitioners on the phone, please let us know. And because we'd love to kind of, we don't have all the answers to everything. So if you guys have other insights or other experiences that have known to work for you, let us know
Mm.
so we can share that with everybody else that's on the call.
Right. Well, it's obviously a broad experience. We're sharing with you what we've seen work and what we know does work, but I'm sure each of you are finding separate things that work for you in your practice, and yes, we'd love to hear about it. Um, so moving on to the four vital meridians that we want to make sure that we encourage you to be actively engaged in. The first one is LinkedIn, and I think that I don't know to what degree acupuncturists are using LinkedIn actively because it's a business to business platform, and I'm not sure if you might think to yourself, well, if I were a supplier, if I were selling needles to acupuncturists, I'd be doing business to business. If I were a dietary supplement company looking to sell white label solutions to health professionals, I'd be working on business to business and on LinkedIn. Well, the truth is that as a member of the business community, and just as you might go to a Rotary meeting or a Chamber of Commerce meeting or any other kind of network meeting, you're entitled to network in a business to business fashion on LinkedIn. And it's a really important um, audience that you want to be speaking with. Connections are incredibly easy to get and very valuable. When I say they're easy to get, it's a little bit more difficult on Facebook to get people they're acting in a fishbowl in front of their, friends they grew up with, the family members. They're not as quick to like a page or to comment sometimes or to even friend somebody. Um, in the business community, a casual acquaintance who would hand you their business card would be equally excited to connect with you on LinkedIn. And once you have 300, 400, 500 LinkedIn connections, which I'm sure everyone on this call could get to 300 pretty quickly, meaning within a year if you put your mind to it, if you're not, that's starting with very few connections. Once you have that number of connections, the kind of content that you want to broadcast on Facebook, and that you want to broadcast on your blog, and that you want to broadcast other places, that you're working hard to come up with good content. When you have it, you'll want to share it in as many places as possible, with as many connections as possible. And on LinkedIn, by simply updating your status, you are broadcasting to your business community at large. So to not use LinkedIn is to squander an excellent opportunity. Uh,
And
yeah, go
I've
ahead.
got to say, I think every day, I don't know about you guys who are on the line there, but every day I must get at least 3 to 5 different LinkedIn requests from people that I don't even know, which is
Right.
kind of interesting. And I have yet to really activate every single one of them,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, every day I am getting multiple requests to join somebody's network in LinkedIn,
Right.
and so I think people are definitely reaching out there. I think it's one of those mediums that is professionally based, like you mentioned. It's business to
Sure.
business, um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a great way to network with local professionals.
Right.
And I mean, one of the things that people can do is when they connect with a local professional and they realize that there's a lawyer who, you know, connected with them through LinkedIn and they live, half a mile away, open up communications to them and, get related to them and then start, some type of a networking relationship. I
Well,
mean,
that's the thing. The person that you bought your car from would be eager to connect with you on LinkedIn. And sure, you had some conversations while you were spending too much time at that dealership, getting to know one another, hoping you could get the right deal. But the bottom line is that you don't know who that car salesman knows, and you don't know the fact that the car salesman perhaps didn't share with you that he or she's been dealing with chronic pain for a number of years. And it's only once they see that broadcast come down their LinkedIn news feed that you posted a blog post about pain management and acupuncture that it really resonates with them, and you've got a new patient, a new referral. And maybe it was their wife or husband or son or daughter or mother or father that they thought it was appropriate for. So it's a valuable audience. It's becoming more like Facebook. I think people who do utilize it frequently are probably seeing that in terms of the interactivity. But in a lot of ways, I'll say it's perhaps better than Facebook because they're not yet they're getting you into more streams, more news feeds. Facebook for your company pages, for your clinic pages, is looking at you like someone they want to sell advertising to, and they're purposefully limiting your organic reach. Uh, I don't believe LinkedIn's doing it to that degree as of yet. And likewise, if you have a number of people in your practice, I certainly recommend a company page. And even if you're a very small practice, even if you're a single practitioner operator, uh, a company page is another opportunity. And like a Facebook business page, at your company page, somebody can like the page just so that they're opting in to getting the news feed of what's happening, the official word from your clinic. So you might decide that you're posting a blog somewhere that you think is excellent content. You might share it on your company page, and then as you, the individual, you would then share it from your company page into your own status update. So you really can kind of get some double activity out of it. So it's something to think about. But again, if there's only so many hours of the day, and if that seems like another task and another thing to upkeep, just make sure that you really consider using LinkedIn fully as an individual, as a business person. Okay. Obviously, Facebook has to be in the vital meridians to consider because of the size of the community. And of course, we're talking about a company page and not your individual profile. So hopefully, the majority, if not everyone on this call, is of the understanding at this point that your clinic needs to have its own residence on Facebook, and that it's not about friending people and sharing information about your practice solely that way. Uh, Everything that you want to communicate on behalf of your practice on Facebook should emanate from your business page, your company page, your clinic page, and
I have
you
I
then may decide to share it onto your wall, which then amplifies it. Yes, Jeff.
Never mind. I'm gonna actually put out a poll there. I'm just curious to see how many people actually do have an active Facebook page for their practice.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, I'm just gonna set up a little poll and I'll publish that in a second, and you can continue. And anyone else who wants to answer that
Okay.
poll, you'll see it populating in the poll section momentarily.
Okay. And by the way, we're going to be following up. We're going to obviously make the video and the deck available to everybody, but we're also going to be sending out uh, a recent PDF that we developed, which is about 10 content generating ideas and strategies that's going to help pull together some of the different things that we're introducing you to today. And if we were to drill down too deeply on each channel, on each platform, uh, this presentation would take entirely too long. We're also going to be sending you a survey to ask you which items are you really hungry for more information about, and whether it's blog content, whether it's Facebook posting, whether it's LinkedIn strategy, and Twitter and the like. But speaking about Facebook, So this is your official broadcast station on the Facebook network. You really want to think about your practice as having the opportunity, thanks to social media, to have your own radio station or weekly news magazine, however you want to think about it. Your own television channel if you're into video. Uh, anyway, it's a great opportunity. So again, once again, photos, images are should be heavy. Video, if you if you if you feel like you're okay with experimenting with video. Video can be difficult for anybody who's not in the entertainment industry. Yet, if you've seen any of Jeff's videos, he's taken to it. He's just jumped in with both feet. He always has a decent looking setting and very nice audio quality, and the lighting is good. And at the end of the day, and we all have access to, or most of us do, via even an iPhone, to a high def camera these days. So the quality that we have available to us for video is so good. In as long as we keep it relatively short and punchy and fun, video is a great way to go too. But if video is too much of a, if that's a bridge too far, which it is for many of us, think about photos a lot. Um, Facebook takes a certain amount of air to get under your sails to really feel like it's not just a dead space, like you're not broadcasting to nobody. So realize that you need to ask for participation. Ask your friends, ask your family to get on there once in a while, and just interact. And it's not inauthentic because you're asking. It's just sometimes you need something to jumpstart it. When people see interaction, they're more likely to get in and interact themselves. So those people who are not on your inner circle will jump in. Facebook and all social media channels are really important for driving website traffic. You spend a lot of time and energy building a website that makes you proud, that has great content, that's carefully worded, that describes exactly your approach and what you have to say about your profession. We can't just sit out there and say, gosh, I hope people get there. Try a little bit of search engine strategy, maybe even some search engine paid per click campaigns. The truth is, with social media strategy, you can drive people to your website, share links to your website, and we'll get into that in a moment with talking about blogging. But driving website traffic is important. On Facebook, because it is such a noisy place and there's and people can really, it's such a large universe, people can interact with you or not interact with you, think to go to your Facebook page or not, or get excited about what's coming downstream. Once in a while, think about what provides a direct what's in it for me for those people. It might mean doing a giveaway once in a while. Next time you're shopping and you're in a really funky boutique and you're buying something for yourself or your spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend, think about buying an extra one just to give away, just to do a giveaway on your Facebook page. Maybe it's a really neat lamp. It could be anything. But if it ties into your brand, maybe it's something that came from the natural world, and it's a lamp that's made out of a tree stump. I don't know. But the bottom line is that if it's something that you would love to possess, someone else would love to possess it, and you can really generate a whole bunch of interaction by having that direct kind of, what's in it for me. I know that you want your community to interact on a much higher level than, gee, I'd like to win the dashiki, but
What's a
sometimes
dashiki?
a dashiki, isn't that an African shirt?
I have no idea.
Oh, it
Um,
is.
But I just want to comment on this. I mean, one of the things that I've done in the past is I have had, I have multiple, really nice, feel good, brain balancing CDs that I've been using in my clinic. And when I moved my practice, I came across like stacks of those CDs, and I just posted a couple up on the internet, on the Facebook way back when, and and said the first person who responds to this and likes it and who wants it gets it. So there are probably multiple things around your clinic if you want to do something like it could be as simple as that. Something else that I've seen other acupuncturists do is they take a picture of like a mint plant and they say, hey, can you identify this plant? And then it kind of turns, then whoever identifies it, it kind of turns into a teaching episode in the sense of this is mint and here's the Chinese term for it and here's what it's used for and here's why we use it and so on. So there are
Mm-hmm.
multiple ways to kind of create interactivity with simple things that are just in your everyday world.
Right. And again, it's mindset. I mean, hopefully, what you'll take away from this is that if you just look at your world differently, and if you can just keep on top of mind the fact that we're really blessed to have these opportunities, to have these channels that didn't exist a short period of time ago. 15 years ago, you would have had to known HTML in order to publish to the internet. Um, you know, it's why 10 years ago blogging became a really big deal because we didn't yet have Facebook or Twitter, and blogging was the first time a normal human being who wasn't overly tech savvy could publish to the internet, and people would comment, and it became the earliest form of social media. Now we're blessed that we don't have to even, have to learn the blogging language quite as much, and even that's become very sophisticated, but that getting on Facebook and just cutting and pasting, we've got some quickly generated content, which provided that we're coming at it with the right intention,
Uh,
can be very powerful.
Keith, there's a question that came up, and I think it's just appropriate to what we're talking about now. Someone
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that they want to know if they wanted some more information about the new Facebook like button, and if there's any comments that you might have about that.
Okay. I'd have to know if they're talking about the new Facebook like button that in terms of putting it on your website and the way that it interacts because there's a handful of different widgets that somebody can hit the like button on your website and they immediately like your page even though they haven't gone to your page, or you could have them go to your page and then like it. There are ones that obviously show some members of your community and some recent posts. So I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to or if they're referring to something else.
Okay, so Kevin, if you want to elaborate on what your question is, I can open that up for you. If you actually want to raise your hand, we can pull you into the conversation. You can ask that question, and I actually do see that there are a couple people who definitely raised their hands. Um,
Okay.
should I pull them in anyway, or should we wait until
You,
the end?
you know what, Jeff? Take their questions, please.
Okay,
And if you deem it worthy, if it's something you want to stop me and handle it right now because you think the community will greatly benefit from it, let's do it.
okay,
Um,
great.
but
So
we also have to be careful about not drilling down too deeply on any given one thing, or we won't be able to get through this in a fair amount of time
okay,
uh,
I totally agree.
for the
So,
community.
those of you who raised your hands, why don't you post me a question in the question section? Otherwise, we will open it up at the end again.
Mhm.
And then to elaborate, the gentleman who asked the question about the like buttons, he wants to know how to get people to like your page, and I think that's what we're talking about right here. So, to maybe,
Right.
yeah.
So
So,
okay, so how to get people to like your page for sure. That's exactly what we're talking about strategy wise. So one of the strongest ways that I found for any client is that direct what's in it for me. Sweepstakes and giveaways, they work. On some level, Facebook and a lot of social media is an awful lot like radio. And radio's been doing the same thing for 50 years. I guess it works. They've been maybe 60 years. They've been doing giveaways. Stay tuned to WMMR, and we're going to be giving away tickets to the game tomorrow night in the next hour. So that's the kind of thing where, look, to some degree, it's a Skinner box, meaning that you pull a lever and you get a reward. You want to do it more, and it so if your presence on Facebook, your company page is a place where most importantly they get great information, they get inspiration, they get nutritional advice, they get wellness advice, they feel good being there. So many people love coming to your clinic because they just feel good being there. This allows them to be at their place of work and drop into your clinic for a few moments, and that just feels good. That's maybe the number one
Right.
reason, right?
I mean, I
But to
mean,
get, yeah,
Yeah, there's multiple ways to get likes, and maybe what we could do is we could put together a little short little PDF or something on, like, the top
mm-hmm,
few ways to get likes and send that
mm-hmm,
out to you guys. But photographs are a great way to get likes. You guys
sure,
have seen those memes. There's memes out there of like a funny like fat cat falling off of a chair, and there's some silly quote, right? People would hit like. There you could also take, pictures again of, like, if you're creative, you could again take photographs and of your
mm-hmm,
neighborhood or the sunset, and people will click like. I think the idea isn't necessarily 100% to be fully all about acupuncture and TCM all the time. I think one of the things about transparency that Keith was mentioning is kind of being authentic in yourself and your life, and be like, here's my
mm-hmm,
bike ride and my commute to work. And
right,
people would be like, "Wow, that's awesome, he's a real
right,
person," and, "Wow, I like that." So there are
yes,
definitely multiple ways to kind of get people to like you. um,
right.
and
Right.
I think that, we can come up with something later on. um,
What we might
so
do, Jeff, moving forward, at some point, I'm sure we'll end up doing a webinar that's strictly about that, strictly about Facebook and how to strictly grow your Facebook community. Just as we can do something strictly about growing, your footprint, your digital footprint on any of these meridians, on any of these channels. But the important thing also I want to say is that you have to just, it's kind of like being a rock and roll band. Every rock and roll band, the Rolling Stones started out playing in a garage somewhere, and then when they went to a club, they'd have 5 people there. Every band is the same thing. You start out, you don't have a great audience, because you're working your chops out. Work your chops out, do the right thing, do what pleases you. It will please your community too, and your community will grow. But also be more focused on the quality of your community than the size of your community. Take 40 or 50 fans who really care about you, um, and even if they, in time it's going to grow because they're going to share things. You're going to post something on your wall that they love, and having your content shared is one of the best ways to get new fans, right?
um,
For somebody to take it and share it onto their wall because you've inspired them and they want to inspire their community, and now their 400 friends just saw what they posted on their wall. That's very powerful. Some of their 400 friends are going to say, oh, wow, this is the acupuncturist I've been hearing about who helped Deborah with her neck pain. Let me check it out. All right. So there's that.
And
Um,
I think one big aspect of that too is the position of, if you're getting people to like your website, like you via your website, you need to have your like button above the fold. And that's a whole other conversation we could definitely have at another time. But,
sure.
if you're getting people to like your website, it needs to be visible. It needs to be right there when people go to the website. If you're getting
Right.
people to like your individual posts, that you're putting up, that's different. If you're getting people to like your page in general, that, you know there's an incentive. It's good to kind of put an incentive in the background. Maybe they can get, there's these things that you probably have seen called, I think they call it the frosted glass like button. It's kind of like that, right? So there's something, it's like, if you like me, then you get this kind of thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there are third-party applications where if you're giving away a high-value um, prize and you're doing it to grow the size of your community, you can have what's called as fan gating. So if you're talking about the frosted glass, it's probably that where they have to like your page in order to participate. So sometimes that's the way that brands will get them in. Again, I think that for your practices, for a lot of you, you may or may not feel comfortable going that route. You really might feel that organically there's plenty you can do. And if you're doing these things that we're talking about today, one of the things we want to do is just make stress-free is really important. We really want to change the mindset. We really don't want anybody sitting at their computer saying, I don't know what to post that's any good. And it's okay if you do sit there like that for a moment, but then pick up a phone and call a friend and ask them what they think you should post. Sometimes you just need outside stimuli. We're all too close to our own practice to be able to see it with the interest and the intrigue that sometimes our friends see it with. So I hope that makes sense.
It does,
Um,
and we've actually tested out a Facebook like button, and
mhm,
that's something that we're actually toying with rolling out at some point
mhm,
as a product to other it, to practitioners. And I just kind of want to do a little. If you guys are interested in learning more about this, just send me like shoot a yes, or say, shoot me a yes in the question box. Say, yes, I want to learn about that Facebook,
mhm.
like, whatever software thing that you're talking about. Because I'm just curious to see if
Okay,
there's any interest out there. If there is, then we'll pursue it further. But it's something
right.
that we've used in our practice, and it's been helpful. I mean, we got what, 600 likes in like 7 days, which
Wow.
has been great. And those are real organic professional likes. They're not like
Hmm.
you paying someone in
Right.
Philippines to give you 20,000 likes in like 15 minutes,
Right. Right.
which you see often, and they're not real. They're not authentic. So
Yeah, I've
um,
had clients who have gone down that route where they've gotten inauthentic likes, and as soon as a little bit of time goes on, those people go away, and it's not really what you want. Um,
correct.
let me head on to the next bullet point, if you don't mind, which is Facebook as a page. If anybody is not, if you have a company or business page and you're not using Facebook as a page, which is a setting that you toggle between. Um, then you're missing a great deal of opportunity. Facebook as a page allows you to like other pages as your page, to like or comment on other posts as your company page. It's a great way to build goodwill in your business community and to give yourself exposure while you're doing it because it shows who is doing this. It's a great way for you to, once you like other pages as your page and you hit your home button, you get a news feed, just like when you typically go on to Facebook in your individual world and you get a news feed of what your friends and what your associated pages that you liked are saying. Um, when you use Facebook as a page and you hit your home button, you get a news feed of what all the pages that you're following have to say. So it's very much like Twitter in that way. What's attractive about Twitter to a lot of people is that you can follow people and get a news feed that's of interest to you. You can do this with other members of the community, of the acupuncture community, but also in your local business community. And you can get yourself out there more. Again, a lot of what we're trying to teach you is to not be passive and to be more proactive. Is a great way to be proactive.
Can you? Somebody wanted to know more about that. They were kind of lost on the Facebook as a page
Okay.
content. So if you kind of elaborate on that.
Sure. So what that is that if you have a company page, a page for your clinic, when you go to your own page, by default, yes, it has you acting as the page in terms of um, if you post something, you're posting it as your company. Okay. But if you navigate away from the page, you're the it does that because you're the administrator, but if you navigate away from that page, you're the individual again, and if you like something on another business page, it's going to do so as Jeffrey, not as Acupuncture Media Works. Using Facebook as a page means going to Acupuncture Media Works, clicking on the top right button uh, that looks like a little wheel, and and you'll be able to select use Facebook as a page. Use Facebook as Acupuncture Media Works. Once you do that, now Acupuncture Media Works can go over to the Lotus Clinic and click like as Acupuncture Media Works, not as Jeffrey. So years ago, people would before Facebook ever put this tactic in there, before they ever put this feature in there, people would set up themselves as they would say, oh, I'm going to set up Acupuncture Media Works as a person also. I'll have a company page, and I'm also going to make believe that there's a profile, there's a person named Acupuncture, and the last name is Media Works, just so I can get out in the world and get my brand out there. And Facebook, said you shouldn't be doing that. That's against our terms of agreement. Um, and the answer to it is using Facebook as a page allows you to go do that. So you don't need to do that any longer. I hope that makes sense to everyone. I know that if you're not familiar with it, it sounds funny. If you'll do what I'm saying, if you are an administrator of your own page and you go to your own page and either click on the wheel or click on settings and look for Facebook, for using Facebook ads, the name of your page, it will accomplish this, and it's a world of difference. So I hope that this is enlightening for anyone who isn't doing it. You're going to love what it does for you.
I just want to ask a question. So there's a lot of questions coming in about Facebook. People have mentioned that they certainly want to know about that software I talked about.
Okay.
Would you guys? And we're going to put a poll out after this. First of all, so I just want to let you know we're gonna put out a survey afterwards. Then you can comment on this webinar in general, but also let you know if are you guys interested in a more in-depth webinar that we could do in the future about Facebook? Just let me know. Write yes
Sure.
in the question
Yeah.
box. It sounds like there's a lot of interest out there, and we
Sure.
just want to sort of get a pulse,
It,
a pulse, literally one of 12 pulses. As an acupuncturist, we look for 12 pulses, Keith, in each wrist,
I
just so you
got
know.
I picked up.
Okay, good. Um, so yes, there's a lot of people suggesting that they do want to learn about Facebook. So
Sure.
we'll go ahead and do something in the future. So keep your email eyes out for that from us coming down the
Right.
pike.
It makes perfect sense. Look, Facebook obviously feels like the holy grail. But the reason why we didn't say, hey, we're just going to talk about Facebook today is that it's really important to realize that Facebook is important. It's important to promote yourself in the social network of the personal social network of Facebook. But it really is important to be on LinkedIn, and it's important to craft great content, and then it takes a while to craft great content. It only takes a moment to hop onto another channel and post it and share it. Maybe spend a little time looking around and listening too. But really, it's important that you have an audience to broadcast to at Facebook. It's important that you push people to your website. It's important that you leverage your business connections with anyone you've done business with as a consumer or as a vendor um, on LinkedIn. So we purposely kept it a little more broad, but I think it's great that there's a lot of interest about Facebook. But going to the third meridian in our tactic number 4, which is the website blog. The website blog is really important, and I hope that everybody is posting fresh content to their blog, at least periodically. I know that AcuPerfect Websites does a great job of sending people. Is it 2 blogs a month, Jeffrey? Am I
Yeah, we
correct?
do. We have with our website service that we offer, we push 2 professionally written blog posts that are all have meta tags, SEO'd, and just ready to go live onto the individual users' websites. It depends on
Right.
what level you have. I think the premium and the ultimate are
Mm-hmm.
the services that we provide that to. But yes, we definitely
Right.
have 2 professionally written blog posts that we push out every month to the
Right.
users. And
Well, that must take a lot of, now again, that must take a certain amount of stress off of those users to know that you've got professionally written content that will go up. Even twice a month is not bad. I mean, that's about how much I would recommend that anybody blogs a minimum of twice per month, because it does terrific things for your search engine optimization, for getting found on Google, for keeping your website vibrant and alive in those rankings. Um, but most importantly is that when we talk about getting found and SEO, um, it's what's so valuable about it is you're getting people to your website. So the blog, people like to think about their website like your homepage is the front door. Well, more and more your blog is the front door, and the reason being that through your most recent content is the content most likely to get picked up by the search engines. And then once somebody does a search, they see your content, they click over and they read the full article, and they're on your website blog. How terrific! They're on your website. You've created website traffic.
Right. And one thing I think people get really bogged down in writing a post and what they should write and how they should write it and what they should include. But a
Hmm.
post, and correct me if I'm wrong, Keith, but a post could be as simple as going out there, finding a really cool article or research study that just came out about acupuncture and plugging
Hmm.
in your initial evaluation of that in a paragraph or two in the beginning and just having a link through to that survey.
Yeah,
Isn't that
I
reasonable? I mean, that's pretty
it is
simple.
reasonable. It is reasonable. I think it's also a blog post can be as small as if you think that your community would take an interest in the fact that you found a vegan restaurant um, that you think that makes you feel great, that you love the nutritional offerings and of what's there, and you think that will resonate with your community. Reviewing your review about the new vegan restaurant is a decent contribution for your website blog. I think that's an absolute true statement. So, sometimes it's harder to write a short blog than a long blog. So sometimes you have to start out by just writing, and you may find you need to go through it and see where can you chop out sentences that really were either redundant or didn't add to the story. Make it as short as possible. We're in the world of short communications. Um, the next thing I want to bring up about blogging is guest blogging. Guest blogging to me is such a really cool idea, and I can't believe that we all don't do it more frequently. Um, the one thing that I want to see happen more uh, on the internet with social media and businesses is for um, people to align themselves with other businesses that are complementary, and help each other, push each other up. So to me, guest blogging is a great way to do that. And if you have a friend who is a reflexologist, a registered dietitian, a physical therapist, I mean, there's so many different things that tie in so nicely to what you do. Maybe even a chef, to what you do for a living. Um, to for I think that type of content, and again, and it's different. It's not what people are expecting. They're expecting to hear from you about points and meridians and chi. You need to surprise people, um, but this is a great way to support someone else in your business community. And likewise, they'll take an article from you about chi, and they'll put it um, on their blog. It gets your practice out there. It builds your brand, and it's incredibly interesting to their community. So please consider guest blogging. Uh, Another thing to think about in blogging is getting to know you. Uh, Again, talk about authentic sharing. One thing I've done for pretty much every client I've ever worked for is done Q&As with anybody who's a principal in the company, because I think people are interesting, and I think few things are as interesting as people. Um, and to me, when I go to a website and the About Us says we're a group of passionate professionals who really want to change the world, and you don't see about the individuals, to me that's very boring. And I think social media is about you in sincere nature, ongoing. So blogging about you, if you were to blog about um, that that day in year one of acupuncture school where this lecture just rocked your world and made you know that you were in the right place, and to this day, once a week you think about that professor or that lecture or that teaching, and it resonated with you. You can be pretty sure that will resonate with your patients too. Maybe you've shared it with some of your patients, but maybe they'd like to hear it again. And the other thing important about blogging is that you're getting your words out verbatim. A lot of times your patients, they love the message you're giving them, so much so that they pass it on to friends and family members to explain to them why they believe in TCM and why it really works. Um, but kind of like a game of telephone, like we played when we were kids, the message gets truncated, it gets bent, it doesn't always come out as great. So when you post a blog that is your sincere teachings, and then you share it on your Facebook page and on your LinkedIn status update and via email, and it all clicks people over to your website, drawing traffic. That's that's when you're really winning at this game. So does that make sense?
Oh yes, definitely.
Excellent. Something I'm sure you do in the clinic is something you should do uh, via your digital media, via your website blog. Teach with metaphors and visualization. Um, I know from my bit of learnings about acupuncture, which is really um, pretty rudimentary, I've certainly seen the metaphor quite a bit about rivers flowing and its energy, and it can get blocked or changed and all that. Those are good metaphors, and I'm sure that each of you out there has your own metaphors that resonate with you that you use in your practice. Share those, share those with your online community, and and get more visibility for them. Okay, so email is something that is our fourth vital meridian. And you might not think about email in the same breath typically as social media, but it's very heavily related. And we're going to show you why. But the other thing about email is that while many, many people participate on Facebook, not everybody participates on Facebook. Some people are actually scared of it. Not everybody participates on LinkedIn. Not everybody is on Twitter. Not everybody's on Google Plus or Pinterest or these other channels. You can be pretty darn sure that about 100% of who you treat and who's part of your community that they've got an email address. So it's still really important to grow your email list. As a matter of fact, without our email list, we probably wouldn't have all of you out here today listening to us. So have that be your mantra. Make sure you are still getting emails and grow that list. Here's something that I'm going to come back to in just a moment, which is about quality. But getting back to how the vital meridians, about how email is one of them and how it plays into social media. Your e-newsletter should be fueled by your blog content, meaning that in the e-newsletter that you put out, it could be just about one thing, or it could be about maybe 4 or 5 different articles. But typically, those articles should be in short fashion, just introductory, with a read more button. And the read more button would take the reader to your blog, where they can read the full article. At that point, they're on your website. You've driven website traffic, which is terrific. Um, so the blog and email are very closely connected. Quality dictates frequency is something that is talking about. This could have been placed anywhere in this presentation, because people will often ask me, how often should I post to my Facebook page? I heard once a day. I heard twice a day. How often should I be tweeting? How often should I be on LinkedIn? Let the quality dictate the quantity. So on any given week, you may have a week where things are going gangbusters for you. There's so many exciting things happening in your practice that you want to share, where you're sharing every day. Maybe not via email, but maybe once a week on email, whereas typically you might only email once a month. When something exciting is happening, share and let people know. And when it's a week where you just don't feel that there's as much to share, share less. Don't hold yourself to something, again, that creates stress. We're trying to give you as much of a stress-free environment as possible.
And
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 enjoy
I've got
this. Yeah,
I've got a couple things to say about email, and again, somebody mentioned that each of these tactics, these four vital meridians, could be elaborated on as
sure,
webinars in and of themselves, and I 100% agree.
sure,
But something about emails is on your website, you need to have an email lead capture form. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with sort of the websites that we sell, but on the websites that we do sell, that if you go to, I'm just going to point you there. If you go to acuperfectwebsites.com and then you go to look at some of the people in the portfolio, and you click on some of those websites, you'll see in the upper right corner is a lead capture form. And the lead capture form is, put your name and your email address here, and you'll download this free report. And then you've got their name and their email address. And I'm sure you guys have, voluntarily given your email address out in exchange for a free report or something like that in the past.
Sure.
And so your website needs some way to capture those leads. And after you capture those leads, how are you going to follow up with those people? So
Hmm.
email is powerful. Email is one of the biggest ways that we get our message and our information out there. And
Sure.
it's a matter of really getting those leads and then converting those leads, i.e. people, into new patients.
Right.
And you do that via back end automatically set up email responders. And then again, we could do a whole conversation on that in and of itself. So I think that's an
Right.
important topic. And it's important to know that you need a lead capture on your website. And
Right.
after that lead capture, back end autoresponder. That's all I just want to
That
emphasize.
that's a great point because we say grow the list, but so again, that's a great drill down on that.
Uh,
And
uh,
again, we apologize. We wish we had enough time to drill down on everything, but
uh,
really, what we're hoping is that we're giving you the a universal thought process
Right.
here.
And we only have about 10 minutes left. So
Yeah. So
let's
we're gonna start
let's
going real quickly.
let's go through
Yeah.
this and
Just
open up
we're
to a
we're
couple
getting there.
questions.
Just so you know, we're getting toward the end. So just make sure your emails have a call to action. Make sure you understand what you want the email to do and that you ask. So perhaps you're asking people to take you up on an offer that you have at the clinic. Make sure you ask. It's important that you think about differentiating yourselves from uh, other health practitioners, from other people in your business community, and we always say the way to be different is to be different. So cherish those things that make you different, and be creative in your subject lines. The email inbox is one of the noisiest of all places. So have some fun, be creative, um, do something that's kind of tantalizing. That's the right word. That gets people shaken up in the
Um,
subject line.
right. And I just want to say a couple things. Can you go back to that one slide really
Yeah,
fast?
yeah,
So call to action. Well, first off, your voice that you should be putting forth into your email should be like you're writing to your friend. Write your emails like you're writing to your friend. Don't come across from like a doctor level in that way. Um, and call to actions should be, hey, if you're interested in learning more, we started offering a free mini stress reduction treatments. I'd love for you to try one. Give me a call as soon as possible or reply to this email ASAP and we'll get you scheduled for that. So something that makes them act, to come on in right away. Subject lines, some triggers, subject lines, are get people to open, right? I mean, people are not going to open your emails if the subject lines aren't interesting. So,
sure.
like the 5 tips or the 3 ways to do this or how to do this, and so on. So those are really good lead-ins to subject lines. And again, this is important. We will put on webinars in the future that will drill down deeper into each of these topics.
Sure, sure. Especially about email because it's really one of the things that Acupuncture MediaWorks is awfully proficient at.
Yep.
Um, all right, this is, tactic 5 is about being present, and I want you to understand about inefficient efficiencies. Uh, there are platforms that allow you to broadcast to multiple channels at once, and people feel really good that they're saving time and they're being efficient by utilizing them. I just think you need to be very careful about utilizing them. Um, it, Things don't always render the way you think it's going to, and also if you're only broadcasting via these kind of uh, these multiple publishers, you're you're not being present. Go to the actual platform, go onto Facebook, but you're making sure to visit your page because maybe somebody's been speaking to you and you want to make sure to get back to them and reply. If you're just sitting at some dashboard somewhere, you might not see that. It's important to be present. If you were at a party, you would give it your full. You need to listen as well as to talk, not just to broadcast. Um, you know, it's important to understand that uh, the same aspect of being present that you have at the clinic is the same aspect of being present you're going to want um, to put out there when you are being present in the digital media world. Okay. always take a breath and make sure that you are stopping to smell the roses and that you are seeing it not as a task, but as an opportunity. We're awfully blessed to have these channels. You have to believe that, otherwise it's not for you. I think it's important to think of some of the content you put out there as digital needles because you can inspire somebody, you can make them feel good, you can remind them about the wellness teachings that you gave them in clinic. So you really are achieving some of what you're achieving in the clinic, you're also able to achieve digitally. Um, Always make sure that you're listening, which will help you to teach better. And then here's our bonus slide, break the rules. So the bottom line is you have to take some risks. Um, Always act with positive intention, and then you'll never have to feel regret. If anything goes wrong, if you've misstated something, if somebody takes umbrage with something, you can correct it. It is better than not participating or being inconsequential. Social media is the new frontier. When Jeffrey says I've been doing social media for 25 years, I've been doing marketing for 25 years, but social media, most of us have been doing actively for 5 years or less. So it's experimental for everybody. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're doing trial and error, join the club. We all are. Um, so there really are no rules. Have fun with it because if you have fun, you'll do it more, and the more you do it, the more results you'll have, and it's just the bottom line truth.
Right.
So we thank you.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of practitioners feel that it's overwhelmed, like these social media channels are overwhelming, and we're just giving you sort of a bird's eye view right now, and we want to drill down deeper into each of these different meridian channels for you, in how to communicate effectively through these different social media strategies, and we will be presenting that to you. But like Keith said, have fun with it. Nothing is, you could always redact something if you put it out there. And it's just participating. It's just kind of getting out there, starting to engage. Don't be super stressed out by it. Don't think you need to have like 15 different emails already prepared before you can take this one step. It's one step at a time. So,
It's like dancing, It's
yeah.
better to be a marginally good dancer than to not dance.
Okay, so we're going to, if anybody has any questions, I see that we're going to open up the lines. Sue, I am going to open up your line to see if you want to come on in and ask your question. And then anybody else who has a question, please raise your hand. Okay, we're going to invite Sue in right now. Sue, are you there?
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, Sue. Welcome to the webinar.
Thank you very much. It was excellent, really
Oh, we're
excellent.
happy to hear that.
And we actually found out about the webinar through Facebook.
Oh,
Hey,
great. See that
it
it
must work.
worked.
And I'm also really interested in the totally updating our website, and we'll be talking to you about that. So
Terrific.
Oh,
that
and
it's
actually,
awesome webinar.
oh, great. That's excellent. And thank you for sharing that. And Keith actually we do have sort of a gift for everybody who's attending. And we're going to send an email out with some information, some notice about that after this webinar. So do you have a question, Sue, or are you just commenting?
No, I had a comment earlier when he couldn't get on, when Jeff couldn't get on, that if he went on via his phone, we could have
Oh,
heard him.
okay. Okay, great.
Okay.
Well, thanks for attending. And there's another hand that's raised. So
Thank you for
I'm
your
going to,
feedback.
yeah, thank you,
Appreciate it.
Sue. Okay, I'm going to mute you now. I'm going to go to the other hand that's raised. And let's see. Okay, Orna. Hi, Orna.
Hi,
Welcome to the webinar.
I'm sorry for the noise. Thank you.
That's okay.
I'm
Thank you.
sorry for all the noise.
That's okay. So you have a
No
question
problem.
or anything that you want us to? You have any last minute questions?
Um, well, you answered partially. I had a question earlier, and actually you answered most of it. It was about, if you get tired of trying to find materials to think about and write about. It's
Right.
like sources of information. So if you need to do a plan or, you
I'd be
know,
happy to speak to that.
Sure. Well,
Um,
yeah, speak to it. You've got a few minutes to definitely speak to it, so feel free.
yeah, this is why it's important to do things like using Facebook as a page if you're on Facebook. This is why it's important to listen and to follow thought leaders in your community. There are times where you don't have to craft all the great content yourself. You do have to spend some time looking for great content, but the places to look for it are your fellow practitioners. They're coming up with great content all the time. And if you read a blog post by a colleague of yours that you think is terrific, by all means, share it. You're doing them a service, you're doing your community a service, and you're doing yourself a service. You're putting good content out there. Not all good content need to be original. I do ask that you try to contribute original content um, as frequently as you can find the time to do. Maybe, think about once or twice a week contributing something that's wholly original and terrific. And it could be as simple as something about your individual practice. It could be, I like when people put pictures on about that they've updated their practice room. I love
Hmm.
those because I love seeing inside other people's clinics. I don't live in Lansing, Michigan, so if I can look into the practice room of someone who's practicing in Lansing, I think that's cool.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Great.
yeah.
So, any other comments, Lorna, Orna?
Um, no, it's a long day for me here.
Uh,
So
Sure. Okay.
well, we'll do this again.
it was
So,
great. It was great. Thank you so much.
Okay,
oh,
you're
thank
welcome.
you.
I'm going to mute you again. And there's a question that came in about HIPAA compliance and
Hmm.
emails. And are there any worries about using any of these marketing techniques that would affect HIPAA compliance?
You know, I should think not, especially email, because again, people have obviously opted in. Really, people will have always opted into your community in however they interact with you via digital marketing. They're offering to broadcast that everyone understands the platform and the fact that it's very wide open and that they're offering to broadcast. You might want to be careful, however, on your page when someone does get personal and asks you for advice or brings up a problem they're having. I certainly would not field that in the open space, and I would ask them to contact you separately. And if someone does post something that you feel is inappropriate for the community to see there because it compromises
Right.
their privacy, by all means hide it,
Hmm.
delete it, and broach it with them separately.
I think one of the things that I know that you cannot do is you cannot mention anything about people's treatment. You cannot mention that, oh, I'm really glad that your headaches are better now,
Sure.
and and that it was really great to see you. They have to be sort of
Hmm.
more generic. They have to be more sort of on the superficial realm. So if anybody was to see that, it would be
Hmm.
like an email that anybody would really receive. I
Right.
have to make a comment here. Apparently, you guys heard a sound that sounded like I was flushing a toilet, but it was actually me pouring water in a cup. So I just want to clear that up. Somebody said thanks for the toilet flush. It was not a toilet
Nice.
flush. It was me pouring water into a cup, just to be clear. Okay. So there was one other question. Somebody wanted to know how come we didn't mention anything about Twitter.
That's a great question. I happen to love Twitter. I love hashtags, which are also now on Facebook, and I think that's going to be a future. Um, it's going to be a future webinar. The reason, it just so happened to not mention it because uh, I think everybody should be blogging. I think everybody should be working the email channel. I think everybody has to work Facebook and LinkedIn. You have, I say have to. I think that these are areas of huge opportunity. I love Twitter. I think there's opportunity on Twitter. There's a lot of opportunity for relationship building and sharing. Um, but for some people, Twitter's a little bit beyond their reach. And so I don't know. We're trying to be a little bit more universal, but we're definitely going to be talking about Twitter, and Twitter is a terrific platform.
Actually, somebody actually just sent over a link
Mm-hmm.
about HIPAA and email, and that there are rules. So we'll be
Mm-hmm.
sharing that link with you guys as well. So
Terrific.
I'll read it real fast. To summarize the rules that apply to HIPAA and email, email communications are permitted, but there's some certain precautions. It's a good idea to warn patients about the risks of using email. Providers should be prepared to use email for certain communications. Anyway, there's a lot of information here. We'll send you guys this link to kind of fill you in about this.
Great. Thank you
Um,
for sharing, by the way, whoever
yeah,
sent that
thank
one.
you,
We
thank you,
appreciate that.
thank you, Kevin, for sharing that
Kevin.
information.
Yeah.
Okay. And any last minute questions out there? Okay. Oh, wait. Steve has a question. Steve, I am going to unmute you. We've got a couple more minutes left. So, Steve, I am going to unmute your mic. And hi, Steve. Welcome to the webinar.
Hi, Jeffrey. Can you hear me?
I can hear you
Yes.
just
Hi,
fine.
Steve.
Okay, I just wanted to say a couple of things. Number one, I've got one of your websites, and I really love it.
Oh, that's
Thank
great.
you.
I really like the fact you guys send out the blogs because I just couldn't do that. It was really beyond me to send out to blog enough.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Steve. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go
Please
ahead.
go ahead. Oh, I was going to ask, do you share links to the blog on social media
Yes,
platforms?
and that's the nice thing about your website is that
Mm-hmm.
you've got your tech, Ben, who is
Mm-hmm.
really great at helping people to do that.
That's
And
terrific.
he has been fantastic.
Ben is a great guy.
But I do want to comment on one thing, and this is actually coming from Ben again, is the idea of the laptop in the office to get reviews.
Mm-hmm.
He told me that at this point, Yelp and Google do not take reviews from an IP address. You know, if they see the same IP address, they won't take them.
Oh, wow.
So from what I have been told, you need to have the patient actually go home and actually go into their Yelp or Gmail or whatever to give a
Mm-hmm.
testimonial.
oh,
At this
that must
point,
be, yeah, that must be some type of a new change.
it is.
And
Well, if you think about it, it makes sense for Yelp and Google Places. They're very tech savvy, and that would make sense. I mean, not that to say that Facebook isn't tech savvy, but I think on Facebook that would not be an issue, or on LinkedIn, because I think once you're
Oh, and
logged in as a user. Mm-hmm.
one other question. You might want to do a webinar on Google Places / Google Plus for Business.
Agreed.
At this point on page one of at least here in Portland, Oregon,
Mm-hmm.
Google Places takes up the middle of the page one. So
Mm-hmm.
it seems pretty important.
I agree. I will say this to everybody that when you're looking at SEO and you're looking at search engine optimization and even crafting blogs, think about including some localized content that references the city and state that your practice is located in, because Google is hyper local these days. That's a great comment, Kevin. Thank
Great,
you.
thank you. Thank you.
that was Steve, by the way.
Oh, Steve, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I think we've come to the end. We got some great feedback from you guys. It sounds like that this was really helpful, and that there are other avenues that Keith and I would like to pursue to share some more information with you. This will be presented. We will once we get it done, we will share this online with you guys, and you'll be able to have access to it as well. So if there are no further questions, we are going to call it an end. Thank you so much for sticking around, and keep
Yes.
your eyes out for some emails from us. We're going to send you some good stuff.